And good morning. Just waiting another moment or so before beginning. I want to give everyone a chance to get in. So make yourself comfortable and we'll begin in about a minute more. Thank you for being here. I'll tell you what, how about we jump right into our program for the day? See, that was my joke of the morning. So it is my pleasure to introduce our interim PACE administrator, Miss Yella Durlam. Take it away.
Good morning, and thank you for being here. I was looking at some of the names. I don't recognize too many of them. Before we get started and before I say anything else, I want to remind you to sign in if you have not done so. We have put the QR code as well as the link for you to go ahead and sign into this meeting. And also, if you are in need of any interpretation services, please go to the icon as you're seeing on the screen on the bottom where it says interpretation. You're going to click on that globe. You're going to choose the language that you prefer, and then the rest of this presentation will be presented to you in the language that you select. If you happen to be on a mobile device or a tablet, it's just a little bit different for the interpretation. You're going to click on the three dots that are off to the right, just like it's shown on the screen. And then you're going to choose your language interpretation. And then the rest of the presentation for you will be will be heard in that language. As we've been doing Zoom now for a couple of years, it seems, but we just want to remind everybody that it is really very important to us that we know who we are speaking with. So if you could look over or hover over your picture in case you need to rename yourself, hover over your picture, click on the three-dotted icon, and if you click more, you'll be able to re-enter your name. Please, please, please help us out, especially for me who's new here at Region North. Enter your full name that you used when you enrolled your students at the school site, and then click the Save button. We'll give you a minute or two to get signed in, handle the interpretation, and then make sure that you were named correctly. If for some reason your name does not show up on the screen, please take a minute to identify yourself in the chat tab. And if you need assistance, please feel free to contact our wonderful colleague here at the office. If you email Ms. Lozano at lausd.net, then a team member will be able to assist you. So we'll wait about another 30 seconds or so we can get all of that done. And Ms. Lozano has put her email as a link on the chat box. So if you do need assistance, please email her using that link that was provided in the chat box. Let me start off by welcoming you to Region North. And I will introduce myself for a minute. My name is Ms. Durlam, and I am an interim PACE administrator. You know, things are changing throughout the district. And I am going to be here not permanently. I am a retired administrator who's been asked to come back and help as we move, make sure that the schools are getting what they need in the area of parent and community engagement. I have worked with the district, or I did work with the district prior to retiring for close to over 40 years. I worked very closely with parents at a variety of different schools. So some of our parents may recognize me from various schools that I have worked at. I also will be working with my colleague here, Mr. Jack Klein, who is our PACE coach, our wonderful Ms. Lozano, who works here as our community rep in our office. And I'm also working very closely with our other PACE administrator from Region North, Ms. Patrizia Puccio. And so we'll be working closely together to ensure that parent community engagement takes place. Let me thank you, parents, for being here, and the current Parent Advisory Council members for their valued partnership and the dedication and all this work that we have done with regard to LCAP. Parent Advisory Council, the PAC members are invited to share some of what they've been learning at recent meetings. Mr. Klein, are there any PAC members here?
I am not sure because I'm having a technology issue. I can't look at the chat or the participants right now. I can see that we have participants, but I can't click on the list, so I'm sorry.
Correct. I believe there's 8 participants here.
I'm Sonia Ryder. I'm a member of the PAC. Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Ryder. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Great.
Good morning,
Thank you.
Sonia.
Nice to meet you. Good to see you.
Yeah. What wonderful things have you learned at the recent meetings? Just give us a general one. If you have specific questions, we can talk a little bit later. But things that the other parents need to be aware of.
In general, or just at the last meeting? Well, I think it's only me and there's one other parent that I invited. So I feel like I'm preaching to the choir a little bit.
But you're not, though, because I need to hear some of these things.
Okay. So at our last meeting, we had a wonderful presentation from the Division of Instruction about the beginning of year assessments, which no one's talking about, and everybody's talking about. Yes.
Okay.
Nobody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about achievement, acceleration days, but at every board meeting, every committee of the whole meeting, no one's talking about actual achievement. So that's something I've been asking about, and it was brought only to our group privately. I wish it was shared public. I mean, I know our meetings are public, but it would be really helpful if this information was shared at a public district level meeting. But I'm still grateful that I received the information. It's not looking good, as everybody knows, but onward and upward, and where middle of year assessments are happening right now. So the hope is that we can see some improvement from beginning of year to now. And then of course, find out what's happening at the end. And the other thing we had a presentation about was from human resources, talking about the hiring struggles that we're having. And an important topic that came up was the racial disparity among the district employees. And there was some first person accounts of parents that had heard from certain district employees that were maybe being a little bit too open about their hiring prejudices. So that was alarming. And we hope that can be looked into a little further, because, we know that we're not a diverse district. Of course, we're a diverse city, but the employees are really not diverse. Teachers are not really diverse. So that's something that we want to work on improving. So it's not just a matter of attracting, for example, Black teachers. It's not just a matter of attracting more Black teachers, but how do we make it a comfortable environment where they want to work here, when our own students at certain schools don't even feel comfortable as students. So how can we expect, teachers to feel comfortable too? So that's an ongoing effort. I think they heard us. It was of course really uncomfortable for them, but the topic is now thrown out there. It's out in the open. So hopefully something can be done as we are looking to hire. Something can maybe be done to help with that.
Okay, thank you so much for giving us that information. I appreciate it. Was there another member of the PAC or no? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go on. The purpose for today, I understand that this particular group has met and has done some studying of the LCAP goals and the information on the LCAP, and there have been about 4 meetings. The purpose of today is to go ahead and review what we've seen, what the study group and what feedback we've gotten back from the study group about LCAP. That's our first goal, is to go ahead and review it. Our outcome number 2 for this meeting is going to be to identify additional opportunities to continue to learn about the local, the LCAP. And lastly, the last outcome for this meeting is really to culminate and celebrate the work of the local district LCAP study group. Start off with outcome 1. We're going to go ahead and review the LCAP study group feedback that we have received.
Thank you, Yella. So tag, I get to be it. So again, having looked at the LCAP throughout these different study groups, this is what we should have accomplished. We should have deepened our understanding about the LCAP. It wasn't a large group, but with a group of parent leaders. We definitely did capture parent feedback about LCAP actions, metrics, and funds, and I'll refresh your memory on that in just a moment. And we did earlier in the year elect parent leaders to serve on the district level PAC. Thank you, Sonia, for being willing to do that. So in case you had forgotten, and there is no quiz or anything today, these are the 8 district goals. These are the goals that we captured feedback from on the thought exchange. So 100% graduation, proficiency for all, excellent attendance, parent, student, and community engagement, school safety and climate, basic services, English learner supports, and our newest addition here, the Black Student Achievement Plan. So I think, Ms. Durlam, I think we have the numbers where we can keep this as a small, just the group that we have here. Instead of going into breakout rooms by LCAP goal, what we're going to do is we're going to stay as a whole group, and we're going to spend, we have a few minutes, we're not rushing here. But we want to look at the feedback from each of the goals and really just kind of talk about what you notice when you see it, anything that resonates with you, something that you see where you're like, oh yeah, that jumps out at me. Yes, that kind of hits me. I agree with that. Or maybe you don't agree with it. And any emerging themes you might find. So what we're going to do is, and let me actually share a little bit more. I'll back out of the slide deck and we'll actually go to the thought exchange and we can look at the data. And it's I believe the proper term is point in time, meaning that if anyone's added anything since Ms. Durlam and I last looked at it, it would reflect that. So this is the data that we have, and we're going to look at something a little bit more visually appealing in just a moment. When it comes to graduation, 100% graduation, Thought Exchange captured 16 comments. The average star score was 4.1 out of 5. Proficiency for all, the Thought Exchange captured 58 comments. The average star score was 4.2 out of 5. For excellent attendance, Thought Exchange captured 20 comments for an average star score of 4.3. When I say star score, by the way, we really do mean like if you're rating a restaurant, I give it 5 stars out of 5. Well, the star score here is out of 5 related to each of these metrics, each of these goals. For parent, community, and student engagement, 115 comments were captured for an average star score of 4.1. School safety, and I know you can read, but I do want to kind of go through each one. 38 comments were captured
Mhm.
for an average star score of 4.2. Basic services, we had only 11 comments captured for an average star score of 4.5. That was our highest scoring one out of the
Mhm.
stars, but our lowest as far as number, or tied for lowest for number of feedbacks comments. English learner supports, we had 149 comments captured for a star score of 4.0. And finally, our Black Student Achievement Plan, 11 comments, the star
Mhm.
score there was 4.1. So
Mr.
you
Klein, can you do me
yes,
a favor and just go back to that one slide for a minute? Because I'd like to ask the parents something because,
this
you
one?
know, no, the one you, right there, right there.
Yes,
Thank you.
gotcha.
I think one of the things before we move in and really take a look, dive deeper, if you will. Anybody, are there any comments that any of you as parents or as participants in this meeting, just general things, what catches your eye on this chart? Is there anything here that just absolutely stands out to you? That's, or something that's telling you what the heck?
Yes.
What do you see,
Parent,
Ms.?
parent, community and student engagement has a lot of comments. And
Of course.
you're seeing that high number from the people that are here that are
Okay.
showing, that are willing to show up and have a lot to say about it. But overall, out in the population, a lot of people don't know what we do. They don't know that we exist. They don't know that this opportunity exists. Like people, for example, turn to social media to vent and complain. They go to the board meetings and provide public comment. That doesn't, this is where
Mhm.
people can show up, provide
Mhm.
comments, make a difference. And we're a small group, but we're kind of mighty. And the
And
other
I
one,
think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah,
I have interrupted you.
the other one is English learner supports, which is, I think what stands out is like, look at basic services, 11, where English learner supports, like English learner supports should be basic, shouldn't it? So that's
Well,
kind,
yeah, let me clarify and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Klein, because I had the same question yesterday when I was looking at this, just coming into it now, not having been a part of the four. If you can, Mr. Klein, just to clarify, so we're all clear, what exactly, when we talk about the LCAP goal of basic services, because I know Dr. Baca, our superintendent, our region superintendent had talked about that at the meeting that we were at last week. What exactly does he define as school, excuse me, basic services?
Basic services really is might be the better way of saying it, services that support the campus. So I mean, if you're saying, and you'll see this in some of the feedback, that the HVAC, the heating and air conditioning
Mhm.
system, it's not as functional as it should be. The filters aren't scrubbing the air, or my class, Ms. Durlam, you can relate to this. Our office is too cold.
Yes.
and the schools with the highest needs are these school, like English learner supports. These schools with the highest needs are the ones with the worst services.
I think I have not been here recently. I know that there are many schools throughout this district. When I think of basic services, I'm also thinking of the facilities, the way the facilities look.
That is
Many of
correct.
our schools, many of
Mhm.
our schools are desperately in need of upgrades, and it's starting. You'll see throughout this district a lot of construction going on to upgrade our schools, because many of our schools have been around for a very, very long time. And so there is a movement, and I'm so happy to see it as part of the LCAP goals, that there is a need to upgrade, to get every school ready for the future technology. We somewhat, we're relying so much more on technology than obviously we did. Technology didn't exist when some of these schools were built. So that was interesting. Is there any other area? The English learner one, Mr. Klein, really fascinates me that we've gotten so many comments on the English learners, because it's a large population of students in different schools. Some schools do not have a large EL population. Other schools have a very large one. So I'd be curious to delve into those two to see what kind of comments were made. Go ahead, Mr. Klein.
I was going to say, once we do pull up the data, the bar graph, let me know which one you want to look at, and any of the participants, we can go to it and get an idea
Okay.
of what was said.
Okay. Thank you.
And again, our highest starred feedback area would have been basic services, but as we kind of pointed out, there weren't as many comments there. So it'll make more sense. Let me back out of this slide deck actually real quick, if it'll do it. There we go. And let me click on the link we have. And actually, I think Fabiola is going to drop the link too. So you're more than welcome on your own device.
Mhm.
Any of the participants that are here, if you want to go look at it yourself, even after we're done, please do. But I'm going to click on the link right now. And let me know if this is not big enough. I can always make this a little bit bigger. But if you click on the link, you'll come to a page that looks like this. And right now you'll notice there's nothing. It's just giving me a lot of words about the LCAP study groups and the exchange summary. Scroll down. And it's right here where you're going to
Mhm.
see the little bar graph where it says view. You're going to click on that. And now we can play
Mhm.
around with the feedback and the data a little bit. So, Ms. Durham, which did you say you wanted to take a look at?
I'm just fascinated by the amount of comments that we got about EL. So if we can look at just a couple of them, I know it was
Absolutely.
rated what, 4.4.
So the EL was 4 even. We had 149 total thoughts.
Okay, and I'm just kind of curious what kinds of thoughts we've got. Okay.
And let me backtrack
Yeah,
for 1 second,
yeah,
Mr. Elam.
sure.
Again, if you're going into this, you can look at the different metrics that we have. You can see when I scroll over it, you get the again the average star score. You also get how many comments there were. But if you click on it, and let me go back to the one you'd asked about, the EL supports, again, it tells me 149 total thoughts, 4.0 star score. And if you see it says at the bottom, click to see more detail, you don't need to try to click on the box because it just keeps moving. Just click on the actual bar, and then you'll get the feedback. And I'll kind of scroll down, Mr. Elam,
Okay.
if there's anything
Yeah,
that you see.
absolutely.
I don't want to go
And
too fast.
sometimes when comments are made in any kind of a group, sometimes it just gets dropped into the wrong area. Somebody talking about speech therapists that may or may not apply directly to English learners. Yes, there is always a need for more speech therapists for a variety of kids, but speech therapy isn't necessarily a part for every EL child. It may be for some, but not for every child.
The 4-star score, that's the upvoting, right? How many parents are agreeing with this topic
Correct.
as they're reading it?
Correct. And again, I apologize if I'm going too fast. I'm just kind of
Okay.
letting it go, and I'm scrolling. So let me know if there's anything anyone wants me to go back to.
Mhm.
And you'll notice too, Mr. Elam, you pointed out, sometimes there'll be comments that are specific to a school.
Now let me ask you a question, Mr. Klein, and just for the benefit of the individuals who are joining us today. When we see this comment here, let's talk about create measured outcome requirements based on financial accountability for use of designated funds for each goal. That wasn't a preset comment that people rated.
No.
That was something that somebody wrote, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely correct. And you'll notice, excuse me for 1 second. Yes, to answer your question, sorry, I got distracted. Somebody was joining.
Okay. And see,
And
here's
again,
a
this is
yeah,
feedback that
exactly.
the office, well, several people downtown are going to be looking at, but definitely parent and community services. Because
Mhm.
I'm looking right here. To me, that is absolutely true. Looking at this
Correct.
LCAP meeting should be in the hybrid format. Yes.
Correct.
But here's an example of one that wouldn't
Yeah.
be related to, and again, that's not a wrong thought. It's just that would be in basic services, like the comment
Correct.
says.
Yes. And I did hear, when I was at a meeting, I believe it was a meeting last week. I've been to many meetings, so I don't remember what the title of it was. But that was one of the things that our region superintendent has put as a very top priority with regard to moving forward, is really expanding the green space. We have many schools that have so much asphalt and very, very little green space. Making sure that and these are his words, not mine, we're here in the valley and it's so hot here throughout the year, doing what we can to increase shade for our kids, because there are some, and he gave a perfect example of a school that has really play equipment on the yard, but there's no shade covering it. So that all does fit. So there's definitely a focus moving forward within Region North to take a look at what we can do in that area of basic services.
And I did, while you were saying that, click over to the basic services one.
Okay,
And again, we're seeing comments that are specific to schools right now, some.
yes,
But then there's others, that are, again, you can see what the comments are saying.
correct.
The thought exchange is kind of new. It kind of popped up during COVID, but before that, this all had to be done on paper. Is there a way now within the thought exchange to sort these comments, like the one above about basic services? Or that was under English learner, can we slide that over? Drag and drop or something like that?
That is a
There-
great, go ahead,
There
Mr. Klein.
probably is, Sonia. I can tell you that the access I have is what you see right here.
Yeah,
But I
Okay.
am going to write down what you said, and I'm going to
Yeah.
talk to, and I forget the name of the person that's downtown, but the person that sent me this data, I will
Mhm.
reach out and find out, because that would be nice as we're looking
Yeah.
at it to be able to do that.
Yeah,
and I think prior to COVID and prior to us doing everything or doing a meeting like this online, I think what we would have seen is a big meeting with those
Yes.
parents that could make it, and you would see charts, and then we would each drop those comments, and then usually what was done, and it's still done when we meet in person, is somebody takes the information that is populated, whether it be an electronic version, and they take
Mhm.
it back, and then they reorganize it in some format. They maybe even be
Yeah,
taking
we had
it
to
off
type
the
it.
platform. Yeah, yes, I wasn't going to
Yes.
volunteer somebody to type,
Yeah.
but yes, of course, they're going to
Yeah.
take it. And then remember that the whole purpose of this LCAP study group
Mhm.
was to get feedback from parents to see from the parents' perspective, where are the areas of need? And the whole purpose of it is to begin change, as we move into the process for next year, what things do we need to focus on? What are the priorities going to be? And make sure that we have the parent input on that. So yeah, I cannot imagine whatever office started this whole LCAP study group process, not taking this information and resorting it, and then
Mhm.
coming up with, I would hope some kind of a final report saying, these are the things that the parents throughout the district are most concerned about.
And the advantage of the thought exchange format, just using this, is that it goes up on the district website.
Mhm.
Everyone can provide comments, not just the people that show up
Right.
to that meeting, downtown.
Mhm.
Everyone can provide comments. And I still meet so many people that say, nobody listens to us. Parents don't have a voice. Parents, we want a seat at the table and so on. Well, this is your seat at the table.
Mhm.
This is how you provide your comments. They are being read. This is how you provide actionable feedback. But I don't know, people want to maybe just speak and voice. They don't want to type and do the work.
But
So
I think there's
it needs to be promoted a little bit, promote. So I think it needs to be a really quick comeback, like anybody that's emailing you venting, be like, awesome, click this link,
Mhm.
provide feedback. There just needs to be more push to this.
And that is one of the challenges of the PACE unit, is to get more parents involved. And every parent has a different reason that they can or cannot. We have obviously parents that are working full time. We have parents that don't have anyway, there's a variety of reasons that parents don't, but that is why we have a PACE unit. That is why, as part of even the new strategic plan, one of the top priorities within PACE Pillar 3 is to grow that community, not just grow the participation of parents, but grow the empowerment of the parents. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, but it's a beginning step. And all this information we'll need to take back, Mr. Klein, and make sure that as we're moving forward, definitely tap into this information. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
And I definitely did, and I really appreciate it.
Is there any other, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was just saying, I really did appreciate Sonia's comment, and I hadn't really thought about it because I have yet to work with it like this. It would help me help
Right.
all of you to be able to move this around a little bit right now. So I definitely wrote it on my to-do list. I'll be reaching out, and I forget her name, Ms. Derlin, but I will
Mhm.
be following up after we're done with that as a big time suggestion.
Okay.
And I did
In
open
worst
up
case
theme
scenario,
4.
yeah. The worst case scenario, we can do it old school, cut and paste, right?
There's some truth to that. And I was kind of curious looking at goal 4,
Mhm.
parent and student and community engagement, because that was another one that had a lot of thoughts on it. So I'll kind of scroll, and if there's anything that jumps out, Mr. Erlin, feel free to kind of point it
Okay.
out.
Thank you. Making the comment here on go down a little bit, Mr. Klein, right there. The communication is the key. I absolutely agree. And I think that communication, just from my perspective, really needs to come in a wide variety of ways, because the way we communicate with Josefina or with Ana Julio is maybe different than the way I have to communicate with a parent who isn't coming to these meetings. So we just need to reach out in a wide variety of ways.
This is timely for me. I'm looking at the one right here.
I
with the
hear ya.
communication with parents, because I'm actually presenting tomorrow to a new teacher institute. And that's kind of the topic, is effective communication with parents. You know, especially for our new teachers, you know, getting them a system that works for them and their parents, and sticking with that system so the parents are comfortable with it.
And I think that one comment was alluding to the fact that I think we in education, and definitely in LA Unified, we like our acronyms, you know, PCS, PAC. And for me, coming back after having been retired for a couple of years at this level, I'm having it, and Mr. Klein could attest to that, I'm having to relearn the acronyms. There are things that have always been a part of LA Unified, but they've changed the name, and then they've changed the letters. So I totally agree with using complete sentences.
It should be.
Mhm.
And honestly, that looking at these comments, it kind of gets me thinking how it tends to be very one-way communication. As a
Mhm.
parent, I mean, I can't tell you, maybe I shouldn't admit this out loud, the number of phone calls and text messages and emails that I've basically ignored, because it's just a flood of stuff that comes at you, and it's not always meaningful. And my students are not in LA Unified right now,
Mhm.
but the district they're in, it's just constant flood of blah coming at me. So having actual meaningful communication
Yeah.
without some of the acronyms, because there's stuff in the other district where I'm like, I don't even know what that is,
Right.
and I
right,
should.
Right.
Is there another goal you'd like me to take a look at, Mr. Elam?
I'm kind of curious, because I know, and I'm going to bring it up only because the attendance. There is a real concern within Region North, as it is, and this is not a Region North issue. It is not an LAUSD issue. It is a systemic issue in education. What has happened to our attendance post-pandemic? We're not back yet. We have an enormous amount of students that are chronically absent, and I don't remember the data on that. Is that 10 days or more per year? I don't quote me on that, but there is an actual figure that defines a student as chronically absent. And I know that right now within Region North, our numbers of students who are absent excessively, let me put it that way, is very high. So what kind of
There's-
comments did we get here?
There's an easy answer to that, in my opinion, if I might share it.
Please.
You know, for all of COVID, we were told, parents and students, I mean, we were told that being in school didn't matter. We were told that, you know, being home is the same as being in school, or just do your work on Schoology. Attendance, I mean, think about it from our perspective. You know, so now it's like, come back. It's like, come back after you told me to stay home. Like, wait, what? And there's a, I don't know if you guys saw the comment in the chat. Parents are still not allowed to go to school for a conference. Like, are you kidding me? Like, so we're being told we're not welcome, like, don't come to campus. So if we don't, what's, you know, that, you know, perfect attendance and come to school and go to school every day and be there at 8. That really, a lot of damage has been done to that. And I think it's not gonna see an improvement for a long time. But
Ms. Ryder, if I could
Yes.
ask you, and at the end of the meeting, maybe you and I can chat, or you can call the office. I'd like to get a little bit more information from you. We don't need to tie everybody up here on that one, but I'd
Okay.
like to kind of explore that a little bit more with you. And there was
Sure.
another person, I don't know if it was Valerie, and I don't know you, Valerie, where are you? You had a concern on the chat regarding, if you really want parents involved, you need to allow them back on campus. So I'd like to, maybe if there's a time that you could give me a call at my office, and let's chat a little bit more and explore where that is coming from. And you can give me a little bit of information. And then maybe I can take it to the next step and figure out exactly what's going on with that. So Valerie, you're more than welcome to call the office, or you can email me. I'll give you my email at the end. Same thing for you. Am I saying it right, Ms. Ryder?
Yes,
Okay.
Ryder.
Okay, thank you. And then I want to pursue that a little bit because that's an interesting comment. Okay.
And I do
Um,
want to apologize to the group, just so everyone knows again, if you're putting anything in the chat, I can't read the chat
Yeah.
right now. It's something to do with me sharing screen. I don't know, I'm
Yeah.
not that tech savvy, but just so anyone knows, I'm not being rude and not responding. If anyone's putting anything, I can't see them.
And I'm not equally tech savvy, nor am I an expert on Zoom like some of my colleagues here at the PACE office are,
I'm good.
but
I'm
I
good.
can see the comments. So
Ms.
that's how
Dearlam,
yes,
and I'm happy to stay on this call after the
Okay.
meeting is over.
That's
I
fine.
think that would, okay.
Perfect. Okay, is there any other area, Mr. Klein? Oh, we were looking at which the attendance, tying attendance to school funding. Attendance is important, but student health is more important. Absolutely. What was the overall rating for this one, Mr. Klein? I don't
This
remember.
one
Yeah.
was, so 20 total thoughts for an average score of 4.3.
Okay, so there weren't as many comments here as there were in other areas, but it was a 4.3. Okay, because I know that is one of the big focus areas of Dr. Baca is the attendance issue, as well as the basic services. Okay. Is there any other parent that would like to look at anything in particular, any other of the LCAP goals?
I do like
Besides,
this.
besides Valerie and I, are there other parents on this call?
Oh, there are several parents on the call.
Oh.
I just don't know if they're, sometimes parents are a little shy
We're
to
a-
participate.
We're a small group, guys.
Small and
Chime
mighty.
in.
Small but mighty.
Where, Mr. Klein and I are very, what is the word? Casual and approachable. So please do not hesitate. And I know that we're doing translation, pero quiero asegurarles a todos que si necesitan algo, que por favor llamen. Okay, if you need something, please call, or reach out. We really need to encourage our parents. We are listening. We may not be able to fix it overnight. But we are listening, and we do have a forum with which to take the information that we're getting here to the next level where the decisions are made. Okay, I think we should move on, Mr. Klein. So do you want to, are you going to take over about?
I can do this.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
Ooh, I just hit my shin when I moved. That wasn't good. Okay,
Ooh.
so some additional learning opportunities. Just so you are aware, and I think the word may have gotten out, local district Northwest, local district Northeast, we are now region North. So there are learning opportunities, first of all, at the district-wide level, but we also have some learning opportunities at the regional level. So at the district-wide level, the next PAC meeting coming up would be Thursday, January 19th, and that would be from 10 to, not 10 to 11, I'm sorry, 10 to 1. And then the next DLAC meeting coming up would be Thursday, January 12th. And again, that is also a 10 to 1 time slot. And you can see right there, if you have any questions about that, you can go to the PCS website. Google is my friend, and I threw out one of those acronyms right there. I can never remember their website. I just go to Google and type in LAUSD, and I either write Parent and Community Services or PCS, and it comes up.
Populates, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's where it's great because I never remember any of those. At
Now,
the regional level,
Those meetings are always open to the public too. They're not just for members.
correct. And thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
And they're important meetings, and we get some really great presentations, and there is a lot happening, but we need more people that are not members to come and participate.
Absolutely. And there should be more coming up at the regional level. The one date I have for you now, and this is where we need to kind of talk, we are now a merged PACE team. So we are now region North. It is not Northwest. It is not Northeast. We are not two separate teams anymore. We are one. I do know that on Friday, March 10th, the region North English learner, I wouldn't say study group, but English learner parent conference is going to be taking place, and that is from 9 to 12. Do not have specific Zoom link for you yet, but again, we can provide that information if you signed in. And I'll actually ask Fabiola if she couldn't drop that in one more time, just because a few people came in after. We're not checking up on you or anything. It's just a great way for us to communicate with you. But we can send you that specific information once we have it. And I believe there would be another meeting that, again, Mr. Elam, I don't have access to yet since we're trying to organize a little bit.
Right. And it's going to, we're going to ask as parents, the work still has to get done on our end, absolutely. But it is let's call it a honeymoon for lack of a better word, where we're getting to know each other and we're trying to coordinate the work that we do so that we're all working or aligning. So our parents are hearing the same thing. But as soon as we get information, we will definitely get it out to you parents in a wide variety of different ways at the school site versus whatever other forms we have of communicating with these parents. Did we lose Mr. Klein? There he is.
Yeah, I was
That's
lost
okay.
my headphones and didn't
Oh.
want everyone to see me trying to pull them back in.
Yeah.
So we also do want to celebrate you all for having taken part in this. So we will be sending you a certificate of appreciation and a new car. No, we won't be doing that.
No,
So, but we do, again, we know our schools are more successful when we have the input of our parents, our families, our community members, and we do want to celebrate you and thank you more than anything for going above and beyond, being willing to be involved. So again, you will be hearing from us. We do not have your mailing address, but we do have, if you signed in, your email address, and we would reach out to you that way in your preferred way of receiving your receipt. We will make sure your certificate, I should say, that you will be getting that. And again, I'll say my thank you. Definitely want to thank you for being willing to be involved and for all that you do. You are appreciated and we are listening. And again, we are passing on this feedback to those that are that are more influential than I am, I would say. So Mr. Earlham, I'll turn it over to you.
You know, and just piggybacking on what Mr. Klein just said, we're not just passing off the information or passing the information off to the people. We're also being asked for the information. It's going both ways. The reason we're all doing this is not because Mr. Klein or the PACE unit decided to do an LCAP study group. It's because, and I'm going to, for lack of a better word, call it big district. We've been asked to get input from parents. This is not the only way we're getting input from parents. The other way, as you're all aware of, is we get quite a bit of input, and it's tied not line by line by line, but when we do the school experience survey, the reason that is so critical is some of the questions on there directly align with the 8 LCAP goals. You know, does a parent feel comfortable coming on campus? You know, do children feel comfortable coming on campus? Do children know where to go? So those questions, those surveys that go out, that SES, which is due today, if you have not done it yet, it's just another method of gathering in information. And we're gathering all this information. We're being requested to gather this information so that we can take it back as the decisions start being made. At this time, are there any direct questions for me that involve the LCAP study goals? Or the LCAP, the 8 study goals, LCAP goals that we just talked about. Any specific questions for me? A very quiet group we have here. There, okay. If we don't have any specific questions for me, that is fine. Mr. Klein, is there anything you need to do to people if you're welcome to stay on. But is there anything that you need in closing other than what we have already thanked them?
There is nothing I need. I know
Okay.
that Sonia and you talked about talking
Right.
for a few minutes. We will definitely leave the Zoom open so that can
Perfect.
happen.
Yeah, we'll leave it open and we can chat. So for the rest of you, you can go ahead and leave us, or you're welcome to stay either way. It's very nice meeting some of you. Hopefully I'll see you in person sometime.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.